This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome once again, dear listeners, to Superconnectivity, the only show that connects all of the things you love in genre fiction superbly. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burg of Pits,
Philman Perich.
That's the guy. Hey, Philip, welcome back to a comics-heavy episode of Superconnectivity, because we had a lot of Marvel comics here this week.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to get to those in a minute. One thing I do want to talk about first and foremost, U.S. Agent.
Yes.
U.S. Agent is coming back, and irony of ironies, he's being replaced by the government because he's just not up to U.S. Agent standards.
I just wonder if it's going to be one of those things. You know, it's like a 5-issue miniseries. So I wonder if it's like, you know, he gets replaced in 2, he fights him at 3, 4, and then by 5 he's back.
I don't know, because I don't know. Maybe he's going to maybe he'll put on his old Super Patriot costume.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe that's the end of it. It's like he's like, no, I'm not going to be the super. You know, I'm not U.S. Agent. Mm-hmm. I'm my own man. I'm the Super Patriot. You know, I still believe in my Reagan's America. Mm-hmm. My Reagan America, and I still want to make America great again. I am a super patriot. Because, you know, John Walker, he is a Trump supporter.
Oh.
Espirito Sanctos, yeah. Well, with a name like John Walker, you know he's drunk. Although, yeah. But the idea that they're replacing him immediately starts opening up the question, well, who are they replacing him with? We're assuming he's not being replaced with Lamar. Mm-hmm. Although that would be interesting.
Yeah. But would
Lamar
do it?
Maybe. I mean, Lamar, here's the thing. Lamar never stopped working for the government.
Oh, yeah. No. I mean, I can see working for the government.
Yeah, Lamar.
Would he just be like, I'm not going to do that to my friend, though.
Yeah, well, but it's, job's a job. But, what it is Lamar. Here's the thing. If it was Lamar, I think he'd know it was Lamar.
True.
So it wouldn't be like, oh, who's the mysterious new U.S. agent? And there's actually okay. So there's 3 people I think it could be, with a 4th possibility. Because, of course, Franklin did not put the universe back where he found it. The first person I think might be the new U.S. agent, which I think is the most logical choice, is William Burnside. That was the 1950s Cap. Because I can imagine them wanting a guy who doesn't question orders ever. Mm. And I get the feeling William Burnside is the kind of guy who just does not question orders, ever. That he is, I serve, I am a U.S. agent and I serve and I do not question. Because he is of that, part of his psychosis is, my country is right regardless. And all he needs is someone to say, this is what your country says. And he says, yes, that is what my country says, and that is right, and that is what we will do. He's very easily manipulatable, as Dr. Faustus showed us. Yeah. Oh, just getting Faustus, him and Faustus back together. So if we ever see any hints to Dr. Faustus in this, it's going to be William Burnside. Mm. Because the last we saw William Burnside was him getting hit by a bus. And then in massive traction, and then basically Cap saying, it's okay, soldier, you're done. And saluting him, and then him feeling like, oh, okay, I guess it's okay now. All the people I've killed and all the things I've done, no one cares, but that's okay, because Captain America said, you can rest now, soldier. You don't have to keep on fighting. Sure, why not? But no, I would actually love it if it is William Burnside, because I do feel that, like all of these characters, they are due for that redemption arc, Mm-hmm. That's the thing. It's like, as with any villain, any good villain, especially if it's a villain who was a hero, then did a heel turn, you do want them to do that face turn again, Mm-hmm. You'd want them to come back and be, no, I can reclaim what it was that made me a hero. I did the heel turn for various reasons, and I had to do it for whatever reasons those were. But I can come back to be, the hero I once was. And I would love to see that with William Burnside. The other character that is a possibility is the character that is actually less remembered than William Burnside, which is, I believe his name is McClinton, Protocide.
Mm-hmm.
The last we saw of Protocide was him hitchhiking up north. And Protocide is I'm going to say this, Protocide is the kind of character that I would buy a book because someone said Protocide was in it. Protocide, like Boulder, is one of these characters that I am desperate for more content about.
And I mean, Protocide made John Walker look like a fancy man.
Mm-hmm. Well, because that's the thing, is like, and that was it. Is Protocide was already a big guy when he got the super soldier serum.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's what I always say. It's like the thing about Protocide is he never even noticed that he got stronger. Mm-hmm. He got stronger, but it was never really a thing for him. I want to see if Protocide got smarter. And Protocide getting smarter is what makes him an interesting character. The idea that he has now a much faster brain than he's used to. Mm-hmm. And yet he doesn't have, it's not like he has, a plethora of knowledge. He just has a faster brain. He can acquire a lot more knowledge as time goes on. But, at the moment, he's just, suddenly super smart, but still has, a third-grade education. Which is a weird place to be, which would also explain why he's always so quiet. And because he's something's weird and I don't know what's going on. This is my fan theory. It's not canon. Like my statement that Boulder absolutely does have a sense of touch. You're stupid if you think he doesn't, because he clearly says things tickle. So, I mean, lasers, yes, but lasers tickle, and that says that it's a thing. It's just that he has to have a sense of touch, because if you don't have a sense of touch, you can't pick up an egg. You would be constantly breaking things, because you wouldn't be able to feel when your fingers had, grabbed something.
Yeah.
You would be, although he is a little klutzy, so maybe that's an explanation for it, because he can't ever actually feel what he's touching. But I actually think he just has, like Daredevil not constantly being overwhelmed by his sense of touch. It's like at a certain point your body says, no, it'd be stupid if you were just, just unable to wear clothes because of the scratchiness on your skin. It actually makes sense that your body gives you that super sense, but doesn't make it overpower you. But, yes. So that's the other option, which is Protocide. Now the third one is an actually kind of obscure character. But he is actually the original U.S. agent. Do you know who the original U.S. agent is, Philip?
Who?
Rockman.
Rockman
was the original U.S. agent. In his first thing, it says Rockman, U.S. agent. And he's sinks a sub. It's a thing. And what he is essentially... he was one of, I think they were called the 12. Mm-hmm. If remember when they did the series of 12, one of my favorite series. I'm still waiting for the 12 Black Widow to come back because she is awesome. I actually kind of feel like, man, the way they've been dealing with the Red Widow in a lot of comic books, it's I think that's the 12 Black Widow. She's, I know everyone says, no, that's, what is it, Balana or whatever her name is.
Yolana or whatever.
Yeah, the other Black Widow. I actually think that's actually the Black Widow from the 12, because she seems way more than just a super spy. She seems like, no, I've made a deal with the devil, and I can burn you with hellfire if I so desire. So you better be afraid of me. That's my feeling on the Red Widow. I don't know. I haven't read all the books with Red Widow in it, but like when I was watching that, when we had the whole Dracula storyline in Avengers, which whatever happened with that,
he's still out there.
When she's confronting Dracula, she seemed like someone like, no, you're not like the first. You're not the first demon up from Hades, pumped up with brimstone that I've had to smack around.
Oh, I'll tell you where Dracula showed up.
Where did Dracula show up?
In Wolverine. He was working with Omega Red.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, he's just jumping all over the place.
Yeah, mutants. We'll talk about mutants in a minute. Racist mutants.
Oh,
I hate you mutants. This is why no one likes you mutants. This is why, okay? Awful people, the mutants. Terrible business, that. But, no, so Rockman, as the U.S. agent that they bring him up, and now in Rockman's story, he's actually a miner exposed to like some kind of ancient gases that made him live, basically become immortal, become invulnerable, and he is also he's like Luke Cage. He's like a Luke Cage kind of character, but like he's also mentally ill because he believes he's the prince of a lost underground kingdom. But actually, it was like revealed that he was most likely just this miner who got caught in this cave-in in 1890.
Okay.
But that he came back up. But he does have a bunch of like underworld technology. But then again, because there are these underworld civilizations, it's entirely possible that he found them. And in which case, he kind of becomes kind of a reverse Namor. Where it's like he has the amnesia and he finds the kingdom and says, oh, I must be the lost prince of this kingdom, rather than he has amnesia and is out of his kingdom and just thinks I must be a hobo. So Rockman U.S. Agent would be the really interesting deep dive if they want to pull it out. So far, I don't think we've seen any of the characters from the 12. Actually, I don't think that's 100% true. I think at least one of the characters from the 12 did show up in some 616 continuity at some point, but I can't remember who it was. But I want to say that, or it might even be like some Sentry continuity where Sentry and someone from the 12 ran into each other, which, is always crazy. But then the other really random possibility is that they actually bring back Jack Monroe as U.S. agent. That if he isn't actually dead, isn't he is not really most sincerely dead. He's just mostly dead.
Well, remember before, they made it seem like he was dead, and then in Thunderbolts they brought him back. So the government could have scooped him up again, and
in Thunderbolts, but not when they blew him up. Remember when they had the bomb strapped to him under DC? This was just before the Protocide story, because they were taking all of the other captains and they were killing him. I forget who was doing that. Probably the Red Skull or Baron Zemo. But they blew him up underneath this Washington DC at some point in Captain America continuity. I'm forgetting the exact story of what had happened in.
Well, I thought in the 90s in his own series, it looked like he blew up, but then they brought him back in Thunderbolts. But then I thought when Bucky was back as the Winter Soldier and still all messed in the head, I thought Bucky killed.
It was when Bucky killed him. That's the one I'm talking about. I don't think he's been back since Bucky killed him. That was the story. Yeah. Bucky killed him because Bucky killed a couple other people. No, actually. No, because that was so it was when the Winter Soldier story came out at the same time that the Protocide story came out, as I recall. If I remember correctly, I think that was part of the same arc. I'm not sure. No, different arc. I don't remember. You can always have seltzer, Tristan. Okay. Anyway, so that's my theory. I think that's a possibility. And then there was another guy I was just thinking of 5 seconds ago. Oh, D-Man. I don't think D-Man would take the job.
You think the
but it would
government-
be funny if D-Man just totally takes the job from John Walker, because he's just he needs the job. Him and Lockjaw, he needs a job. And I heard you guys were hiring.
What if D-Man's like his Bucky?
You know what? Like I said, they
was.
threw shade at D-Man. And, of course, you know who threw shade at D-Man? Starling. Who we see in, what is that, Amazing Spider-Man 850 this week? Or
Oh, yeah, like a week or two ago. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It was in the queue. But, yeah Starling. Ugh. She's trouble.
Well, her grandfather's the Vulture, so.
Yeah, I mean, for reals. And it's like, oh, what? You mean my grandfather lied to me? The entire world wasn't against him? It's like, yeah, sweetheart, he went to prison for a long time because he murdered people.
He murdered his ex-business partner. He murdered one of Aunt May's fiancés. I mean, he
murdered the Gibbon, man.
Yeah.
Gibbon, justice for the Gibbon. He was awful in his last appearance, by the way. That was the worst Agent Toomes I think we ever got, was when in Kraven's most recent hunt.
No.
Oh, I hate Kraven. Yes, his name means cowardly. That's the point of Kraven the Hunter. He's not the mighty hunter. He is a coward and a jerk and a loser. You're not supposed to. No one should ever make Kraven an interesting character. That's not what that character is supposed to be. I don't care how much you want to do it. I don't care how much you think, no, he's a hunter. It's like, no, he's...
Hey, they killed him. They killed him off in the late 80s, but then they had to bring him back in 2010.
Why?
I don't know because he had a bunch of illegitimate kids running around. Just do they could have just.
I know, and that's the whole plot line with the latest.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I made all my illegitimate clones kill each other. Well, he didn't make them kill each other, but they just said, "Oh, I'll just kill all of myself," and then that shows I'm the greatest hunter because I have, the most dangerous game. It's like, no, you're just arguably it's Man, but probably it's Monopoly. Kraven. I hate Kraven. But speaking of racist mutants, which we did mention.
Oh.
I mean, arguably, yes, but you would need a lot of money to play Monopoly with real money. Because I think it's because everyone starts out with $15,000. And that's a whole thing me and Maz gets into. If you listen to our boys podcast on Full Stream Ahead, we talk about Monopoly and the flaws in the basic economic structure of it, and I know. I said because you don't start out your life with $1,500. Not everyone starts out at the same place. But right now we're talking about Fantastic Four 25. I got the Scotty Young variant, where he says, "I ain't doing this for free no more." He's like, yeah, you guys always want to do that Fantastic Four title cover, but Giganto, not a character's named Giganto, don't want to do it anymore. Anyway, so pan-dimensional Superman being controlled by what is clearly, the Maker. They don't call him that, but it's like, oh, the Helmsman. It's clearly the Maker, unless he's like one of those Morlon guys. I don't know. They're looking for the thing. There's a MacGuffin. There's a MacGuffin to be found, and Superman has to find it. And he's so powerful that... What? Yes, I do know the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't even have to remember them. They're still an active franchise. Yeah, I remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Tristan. Anyway, we get some nice domesticity with Ben, Alicia, and the new kids. And the Skrull one is already, just changing her shape to be whatever it needs to be. And they decide to homeschool them. Which, to be fair, Ben says, is that maybe not our best idea?
Yeah.
Because if we do that, then we are effectively, locking them into this life, and maybe they need some normalcy. But of course, the counter argument is they're not normal children. So what is that? They leave Valeria behind when they go to deal with Quantum Superman. Yada, yada, yada. And this is the sad part, is we have Franklin use the last of his power, and he'll never have his superpowers again.
Yeah, because he had this thing on the ropes. The thing even says, this was the only challenge to me, and now it's...
Yeah, but it's like, as I said, this is a psychological block.
Yes, and his father never locked his powers away before, and he's never gotten them back.
I know. Well, no, but it's like every time Ben Grimm becomes human again, and there's always, and I can never. He turns back to the thing, and I can never be Ben Grimm again. Because it's, and Ben gets sad too, Because that, to me, it's like the whole MacGuffin plot line. It's like, oh, it's the MacGuffin. Oh, it wasn't actually the MacGuffin we wanted. We killed these people for no reason. And Valeria saves the day with super science because she uses a fixed point in space-time. And Doom is like, you've had this for a decade and you haven't solved all the mysteries of the universe yet? It's like, no, dude, I didn't. But maybe in the next 38 minutes we can figure it out. Doom is such a... I am telling you, if Curtis Armstrong is not Dr. Doom in the MCU, I will riot. That is the part he was born to play. Okay. Yeah, but that's the whole thing here is, he uses his powers. He then goes to run to Krakoa to get his, I'll bring back all the X-Men. We'll get the whole army of reinforcements. And then Krakoa's like, oh, you're not a mutant. You don't have powers.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought mutancy was in my genetics. That's like saying that, before Solar walks through the desert, he is not a mutant. It's like, no, he was always a mutant. Solar is a character. He absorbed solar radiation, but he never absorbed enough to actually have superpowers until he got stuck in the desert.
But think how powerful Franklin is. That mental block is so strong. It's like he's subconsciously masking his DNA.
Yeah. Well, maybe. And here he is. He's crying. He's being sad. Just like Ben Grimm always does. And he says, I can never be Ben Grimm again. Bum, bum, bum.
See, Franklin's the opposite of Ben. Ben always wants to be normal. Franklin wants to be anything but normal.
Well, exactly. But, Franklin's problem is, and this is, so it's actually the exact same problem. But it's also trying to choose what side of the coin you want to fall on.
Oh, yeah.
So Ben, as I said, Ben's issue stems from the fact that changing forms has a severe psychological toll. That because you physically change yourself, who you are when you are the monster and who you are when you're yourself become two separate and distinct entities. And he sees this with She-Hulk, with Bruce Banner, with anyone that does this transformation, anyone who shifts from one form to another. They get this separation of sense of self. And as much as Ben would like to be human again, he can never give up the power of being the Thing. And if he were to be able to just change back and forth whenever he wanted to, his Thing persona would become much more monstrous. And he knows it would cause the psychological split within himself, so he avoids it. With Franklin, it's a little bit of the opposite, where it's not that he will become... It's not that he wants to be a human. It's that he fears what being a god really means. Because he knows he could be a god, and he enjoys being a god. Who wouldn't? But he's also really afraid of that power, that if he had that power all the time, he's afraid he's going to be Billy Mooney in it's a nice, it's a nice life, the Twilight Zone episode where he's wishing people into the cornfield. And he, someone showed him to that at one point. He was like, oh, that scares the heck out of me. And he does not want to be that being. And so he creates these mental blocks to keep him from it. And I get the feeling that, much like, as I said, with Ben Grimm can be human for one night a year or one period. They don't even say it'll be a one night. It's actually like, they actually leave it intentionally vague, where the first time he does it, it seems like he's human for like a week, where it's more than one day. And now it's like, no, I can only be human for one day, because it was too scary for him, especially because he didn't let himself change back until it was too late to save Johnny. So now it's like he has made it more and more codified for himself. But they're just giving him, soda water. It's this amazingly powerful placibium. We call it placibium, Ben Grimm. And that's what gets him to transform. And they're going to need to find a placibium for Franklin Richards in order for him to become that superhero. Or he's just going to have to mature and understand how it is. But I hate the fact that when he goes there, Krakoa won't bring him through again. And, he is exactly the kind of character that needs this kind of help. Mm-hmm. We get our backup story this week, following up on The Unseen and the Watcher.
Yep.
And that's fun, of course. The Unseen catches the Watcher up. The Watcher realizes, things are kind of messed up. This is not the way things are supposed to be. And then we basically find out that, actually, if you had actually figured out anything from that weapon, it would have melted your brain. So it's good that I jumped out at that time. But I need new Nick Fury, and I love that new Nick Fury is bald.
Wahoo!
Wahoo! So he's white, but he's bald.
Well, as the Unseen, wasn't he bald? So unless he's going to grow his hair back or something.
Well, I mean, he might, but it's just an interesting. Basically, now he looks like the white
Sam Jackson. Yeah,
he looks like the white Sam Jackson, exactly. So that's interesting. But definitely these are clearly the Watcher's weapons when the Watchers first went out and gave nuclear technology to people. Mm-hmm. And, you blew yourselves up within a generation. And they're like, yes, you lousy Watchers. Why'd you do that to us? It's like, oop, our bad. Mulligan. And that's when they vowed to never interfere again, except now they're interfering all the time. And they always did because, they're the freaking Watchers. And what's the point of watching if you don't interfere? And Willie Lumpkin is still alive. So there he is on the letters page. He is the moderator of the forum. So, follow the rules or Willie Lumpkin's going to kick you out. Okay. What next book do you want to talk, Phil?
I don't know. You want to talk some Iron Man?
I got him, yeah. Iron Man number 2, where we see one of my favorite characters, probably one of the main reasons I got this, is Crusher Krell in his elf. And we see that in this, where he is like, hey man, I don't want to fight you, Tony. I just need to get back to my wife,
Yeah.
I miss my wife. I want to go home. Yeah. And, this leads to basically he unmasks Arcade is the ref, and yada, 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 which leads to this great breakdown of Tony Stark's midlife crisis. Or third life crisis, I guess is what we should really call this. With Hellcat. And, why does, Tony Stark is basically trying to kill himself, or because he wants to die a hero, because if he dies a hero, then everything's made good. And, basically breaks several bones to burst through this thing, which a character by the name of Cardiac, which, again, one of these weird things, like, where did Cardiac even get adamantium, vibranium, steel shell to trap these people in? How did they get trapped in this shell? I think there's questions. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Cardiac was never,
Yeah, but maybe that's what ties into
Cardiac
Korvac.
Never killed people. Cardiac was against the healthcare system and would destroy stuff and ruin people's businesses, but he wasn't a killer.
Yeah. But we do see, because the start of this deals with Korvac and the Hive, which I think, if you recall, Korvac was central to the what we saw in what was that? It was the Marvel 1000 book, Marvel Comics 1000. Yeah, so that's that, and he is apparently going to be behind what's making Unicorn go nuts. So that's a thing. What did you think of this book, Philip?
Like I said, it's pretty good. I liked it, pretty much as issue 1. Like I said, Cardiac was a little out of character for me, I think. But yeah, there was a lot of good stuff like Absorbing Man and Hellcat.
Yeah. Absorbing Man and Hellcat, to me, are the highlights of this book.
Yeah.
Because we also get to see that, what I say with Absorbing Man, he's like absorbing not being a jerk. It's like, I'm just trying to get through my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bad guy, and I had a bad life, and now I'm trying to be a good guy, and I'm with Canadians now, and I'm absorbing all that Canadian nice, eh? He's like, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by Canadians all the time now. Mm-hmm. So I'm just absorbing all that Canadianness, eh? And oh man, I'm sorry, Tony, I don't want to punch you, eh? But I want to get back to my wife, okay? So let's just get some poutine and call it a day. Have some beer and poutine, and we'll go home. So clearly everyone has bought onto my theory about that. Yes, but that is Iron Man. Oh, I like it putting up the covers, and that's our. Everyone's doing the Alex Ross. I mean, is that Alex Ross or is that someone else?
I believe that is an Alex Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, Alex Ross. Alex Ross just it's the guy's job. It's like, oh, you need a cool cover, cool. I'm waiting for the Rick and Morty Alex Ross cover.
Oh my!
It's coming. It's coming. By the way, I do want to do a shout out for Werewolf by Night. Really a great book. Basically, this is written by a guy named Taboo. I don't know. It's obviously he's a musician.
Yeah.
And B. Earl. I don't know who they are, but good for them. And they wrote a good book. Honestly. And obviously, hey, Philip.
Huh.
What's that company?
I can't.
The Life Corporation?
The Life Foundation? Yeah. Oh.
The Life Foundation. Yeah, the Life Foundation has Life Pharmaceuticals has a little place there on the res, and our hero works there as a janitor. And we see that he actually has this problem where he is a werewolf by night. It's not his preferred thing. He didn't get bit, but he just becomes a werewolf by night, and it's interesting because apparently his father was a werewolf by night too. And things happen with that. But now he's just sort of working through it, and there's a whole thing with, why didn't my parents ever write a book about this? And his grandmother says, well, maybe you should write a book about this for the next person. Reason I got this book, because I did not even know he was going to be in this, but here he is. There is Red Wolf. Our character from the 1890s Marvel Universe, the Red Wolf the Sheriff, who got transported to the future, and even makes this comment I remember riding this on a quarter horse and all this kind of stuff. And, he is so adjusted. See, he wears pants.
No.
I want him to meet Conan, and just Conan, just put on a pair of pants. It's well, no one else around me is wearing pants. They're all wearing tights. But you see, I mean, I'm supposed to wear pants, but Red Wolf is in this. He's U.S. Marshal. He's got this little redhead partner, which she also is very judgmental about Red Wolf's eating habits. Apparently, he eats things. They're apparently working with Cradle as a fun thing, because here we got this super brain who's going to take over all the computers, and they're like, no, kid, we're going to associate you with someone who can help you. He's like, who can help me? I am the super genius-y character. It's yeah, okay, kid. Okay, kid, yeah, we'll find someone to help you and help you learn to use your powers for good instead of evil. And actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not Red Wolf's girlfriend or Red Wolf's partner. It's actually our hero's girlfriend is the one who's like all upset about all the chemicals in food. But it's great. We get their little family life here. He's raised by his grandma because his dad is in jail. His dad apparently is also a werewolf, which raises this question, like, dude, there's a werewolf in jail? Well, he's probably in some kind of superhero jail. But I wonder if that's going to be a tie back to the 1970s Red Wolf character who could turn into a wolf. So I'm wondering, our hero gets asked to help clean up an accident on one of the levels where the hazmat guys are cleaning it up, and he's like using all his super senses to realize, yeah, there's something bioorganic here. Symbiotes! They eventually, break out because they're bringing in more test subjects, find out they're doing human experimentation, and then the end of it, we meet the Cyber Wolves. I don't remember what these guys are from, but I recognize them. They're very 90s, and I can't wait to see what else we do with the Cyber Wolves. Those are a thing, right? Cyber Wolves? That's like this isn't their first appearance. I know this. I look at them and I was like, oh, I've seen these guys before. I have no idea where I saw them, but I know they existed before this, or I just fell into a different dimension.
No, that does sound familiar.
Exactly. It's like I didn't make this up. So they'll be back next month, but I'm really excited about Werewolf by Night. It's a fun series. Okay, I got 3 left. Maestro, Juggernaut, and Winter Soldier, and then, of course, Daredevil, which I know you have.
Yes.
What do you want to talk about next, Philip?
Here, let's get to Daredevil. I'm chomping at the bit.
Let's get to Daredevil. Okay, yeah, this was nice. What you want to take the lead on it?
Yeah, sure. I don't mind.
I mean, I liked it. I like Wilson Fisk in it.
Oh yeah.
I like that this is a great Fisk story where he's like, oh yeah, I've got to deal with. It's like, look, I want you guys to just settle this amongst yourselves, but I understand you can't because you're children, and I hate that. But I'm going to put someone in charge, and he puts Libridus in charge. And then, of course, Daredevil shows up. But prior to this, we get Daredevil's meeting with Foggy and the new lawyer, who is apparently one of Matt's exes.
Well, yeah. See, they were dating when when the Purple Children wiped his identity from the world. So he kind of broke up with her after that.
Yeah, and as Foggy points out, it's like, Matt, quit acting like you're doing. I have to protect you. You had to protect your ability to swing as a superhero at night.
Exactly.
It's like nothing about this is anything other than this is something you want to do, and you're making a conscious choice to do it. And okay, we accept that as part of your lifestyle, but don't act like you. And Elektra calls him out about this too. It's like all you want to do is say, poor pitiful me that I have to make these sacrifices, and it's a choice you're making. And for what it's worth, even in this moment, when he wants to make the impressive attack against the mob, he needs Spider-Man. He needs someone with real superpowers to show up.
That is funny, yeah, because Kingpin and all the mobsters are meeting, I guess, in a bank vault, and all of a sudden the vault door just comes flying in, and later on you find out it's like, yeah, Spider-Man ripped it off and threw it.
Yeah, because he's got radioactive blood, man.
Yeah. Because first Daredevil's just standing there looking all tough, but then he's like, was it Kingpin who's like, yeah, you're going to jail soon. We're gonna have to worry about you, and and Daredevil's even like, yeah, well, guess what? Even if I'm in jail, you're gonna have to worry about this guy, and points to Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, and it's fair enough because they will still have to worry about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he says, "I was trying to look menacing. Did I look menacing?" It's like, hey, when you don't talk, yes, you're very menacing, Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, hanging from the ceiling like that. Yeah.
As soon as you open your mouth, everyone knows you. It's like, oh man, I love freaking Hammerhead having his head hammered by Kingpin. That was like, yeah, oh yeah, she shot you in the head. Your stupid metal head.
Yeah, you survived.
Yeah, you're fine. Okay, we all know your head. That's your whole thing. That's your gimmick. You got a metal head.
You and your ludicrous metal skull survived.
Yes, it is kind of silly to have a metal head. I mean, I guess it's good. His head is survived. Although you got to imagine his brain sloshing around, hitting against the metal isn't helpful either.
Oh no.
Although maybe there's like some kind of if it's adamantium with a vibranium mix, then it's got like that shock absorbing quality to it. So,
I don't know. I mean, in some stories, like back in the day, I mean, sometimes he thought he was a 1930s gangster, so maybe that brain is sloshing around in there.
Yeah, Hammerhead. It's every so often the wires connect differently, I guess.
But I did.
He's like Solomon Grundy. He comes back and sometimes he's smart.
But no, I did like the part with later on with Spider-Man, where kind of Spider-Man's like, sorry I was so harsh with you before. I know what it's like to kill someone on accident, because it did happen to me.
Yeah, and that was a nice moment for them to share. I mean, the entire plot line's a little weird, I'll be honest with you. But it just gets weirder at the end, Philip.
Oh, yeah.
Because the real big reveal is that, this new lawyer says, I understand that, we've got to defend Daredevil, but, I mean, goodness.
Where's Matt?
Matt's the best lawyer. Why isn't he here?
So the next morning, I guess, Daredevil goes to the office, and who's sitting there? Foggy, Kirsten, and Matt Murdock. Yes. Now the question is, we all assume this is Mike Murdock. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now does Foggy know Mike Murdock exists in this universe?
I would assume.
I'm trying to remember back to the last time we saw Mike Murdock, which was in that One More Day story.
I would assume, if nothing else, Matt told him, because Foggy's Foggy's the only one who knows Matt's Daredevil. So I would assume Matt told him about Mike. Just so he's like, if I show up acting weird, it might not be me. It might be my brother.
Yeah, but what's weird about that? It's just this idea that obviously Mike Murdock isn't a lawyer. Mike Murdock is not going to be Matt Murdock, so I don't know how this solves the problem.
Well, I guess either A, would he let Mike put on the Daredevil suit at least temporarily, or two, I'm sure if nothing else, they're going to feed him lines. They're like, okay, this is what you're going to say. I'm sure Foggy can sit there and scribble on a pad and be like, say this.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you can sit there and be pensive.
But remember, his Matt's former boss in the DA's office, he goes, I'm not doing anything, making any deals until you show me who's under the mask. So he unmasked for the DA. So it's like, was the DA going to be like, wait a minute, that was Matt Murdock under the mask. So how's Matt Murdock sitting there next to Daredevil?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's honestly the entire idea. Well, he can testify in his costume. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know where that precedent got established.
Well, in like the last Daredevil run.
Really? They just let... I expect better of you, Soul. You're a lawyer. You should know better. Well, I guess it goes into, how do you prove you are who you are? It's very Miracle on 34th Street or whatever that was. They delivered the mail that says he's really Santa. And so there we go. Which actually was probably the best legal argument to say. It's illegal to deliver mail to someone named Santa. This was mail for Santa. They delivered it. Therefore, he is Santa. It makes perfect sense. They changed it in the reboot, which, the reboot was worse than the original. Who would have thought? Anyway, so Mike Murdock's back, and Mike Murdock's in there well, so I don't know how this in any way helps the situation. Part of me is kind of hoping this is actually the Skrull that is Howard the Duck's friend.
Oh.
Remember the last Howard the Duck? That would be actually awesome if it's actually just she's not a Skrull. She's a human with Skrull powers because she ate a Skrull duck.
Yeah.
But that's what they got rid of the fourth Skrull.
I would assume this is Mike just because, they went to all the trouble setting it up in that annual when they did say, oh yeah, he's coming back. He's coming back. So I would assume, because you think Matt was mad when Foggy brought Kirsten in. Imagine when he's like, yeah, I brought Mike in this,
Yeah, but again, it's this weird thing where it's like, okay, yeah, but how does this help? Like, Christian is a lawyer, and it helps. Saying, well, I found a guy who looks like Matt to be Matt.
I mean, it's just to throw suspicion off that Matt Murdock's Daredevil.
I mean, yes, I get that as the concept. It's just that I don't think it's going to stand up to scrutiny. That's all I'm saying. But we'll see. Like I said, I would much rather it if it was someone else. Just because we're all expecting it to be Mike Murdock. It would be like, oh, they pulled a fast one on us. I love when they pull a fast one on us. So, yeah, but I will probably pick up the next issue of Daredevil because I do want to see the adventures of Mike Murdock. Mike Murdock is a selling point for me, so that's a good thing. So the Hulk is in 2 books this week, Phil.
Oh.
Yeah, Maestro and Juggernaut.
I did not get to read Juggernaut, but yes, I did read Maestro. Okay,
so quick recap on Juggernaut. This is fun. Because, again, legal precedent. It becomes central. Basically, the Juggernaut takes a gig to beat up the Hulk.
Oh, jeez. He's done that before, and it hasn't gone his way.
Well, honestly, this time it does work out perfectly just fine. He actually does the uppercut, and, and this is, again, racist mutants. We hate you. Because this is, at some point, Marco is in his bed, and Charles comes to him as a vision, and da-da-da-da. And he's like, yeah, okay, so you're just calling me to tell me, come on over to Krakoa, and I'll be part of your team, and we're going to work this out. We're going to protect the mutants. He's like, no, Kane, you're not a mutant.
Ooh.
You're not welcome on Krakoa. And it's like, dude... Okay, I have been an X-Men. I have helped you guys out. I have tried to be... And freaking Mr. Sinister is on your fudging island! So it's like, these are the impossible X-Men. These are plant X-Men. None of it is real. You cannot be friends with Mr. Sinister, who is not a mutant.
Exactly. Well...
And then say, Franklin Richards, you can't come. And Marco, you can't come. It's like, dude, freaking pedophile Mr. Sinister is here. I don't know if it's canon, but it's canon in my book. I'm sorry. Lots of orphanages. I'm not feeling it, man. There's some Pizzagate stuff going on with that. But yeah, they do have Kane one-shot the Hulk. Because that's the thing, though. We can one-shot the Hulk because, I don't know, Green Door stuff, maybe. It just seems like, because the Thing one-shotted him, too, Yep. And it's always like, oh, yeah, I one-shotted him with my last bit of power. But they do still one-shot the Hulk. And then they actually have the Hulk in a whole thing. Oh, yeah, and this is telling him his story, how he gets back to Limbo to get the power of the Tetractic Crystal back. But... Hulk's under, gamma control. And it's basically just a Truth and Reconciliation Commission where all these people are basically coming up to stand in front of the Hulk and tell him the horrible stuff he did. And the Hulk, being just a complete a-hole, says, it wasn't me, that was the big guy, he's a child, and da-da-da. It's like, no, 6 times out of 10, you were actually just being yourself and a jerk. Destroying stuff. Don't act like it's not you, and don't act like the big guy isn't you.
Oh.
Don't, it's like, I hate that concept of, oh, that was the childlike Hulk, and the childlike Hulk isn't responsible if he broke your house. Especially because it's the smart Hulk saying it, which tells me it's the smart Hulk making excuses for why he did things. But then he basically says, but you know who always had control of himself? This guy, the Juggernaut. So every time the Juggernaut broke stuff, it was the Juggernaut doing it, and it was his own thing. And Juggernaut's like, yeah, fair cop. Because he's like being a better person, and he's making amends, and he's saying, yeah, I did that. I did these horrible things, and it's unfortunately something I have to live with. And then, of course, when they get back to New York, he gets served by the city of New York for the millions of dollars of property damage that he has caused. So... I'm loving the new Juggernaut book. That's by, is this, who's writing this? I thought that was Fabian Netziez.
Oh, okay.
Friend of the show.
Yeah.
So if we get him back on, I'll talk to him about Juggernaut because I'm loving his take on Juggernaut. Maybe I can talk him into the fact that Cyclops is actually the natural, actually taps into the universe of Juggernaut. He goes, oh, that might be an interesting story to tell. Thank you for that information, young man. Take that, Peter David. Speaking of Peter David, do you want to talk Maestro?
Yes.
Oh, that was fun. I don't know what to take with Hercules, and I don't know what to take with the Hulk. Again, Hulk is just a jerk. But Hercules, and that's the thing, it's like, there's a part of me that's like, is Hercules, or is Hercules just maintaining reality, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He is being his typical gaudy self. And, you know, Hulk is just being all emo, you know, because he meets Rick Jones, he's in Professor X's wheelchair hover chair, which I do love. It's just such a great 90s reference, Professor X's hover, which is like, also like takes up like 10 times the space of an actual wheelchair. To the point where is that really more than just a wheelchair? Because I presume most of the X-Men are accessible. So, I don't know. Is driving a go-kart really that much better? That's all I'm actually saying. He goes to Alchemax. He builds his war dogs. Although this is kind of weird because he goes to the lab rat section and it's filled with like humanoid clone cells, which he doesn't use. That's like weird to me. It's like, this is something I can use. And when we actually get to see what he uses, it's just freaking robot dogs. So, that's weird, you know. And he's going to have his robot dogs go out and conquer the planet, make the world great again. And I was like, that sounds stupid. No, we have our life here. We're subsistence farmers. We're okay. We're subsisting. That's literally all we want to do. And then Hercules is going to beat him up. So, you know, we'll see how that goes next. Then we get our little side story with the relics where apparently in this story, Rick Jones is collecting this is how he's getting all of his pieces, and this is how he gets a Wolverine skeleton, which, not for nothing, theoretically could grow back into a Wolverine. It just takes time, you know.
Is there any organic matter left, though?
Well, that's the thing. It's because again, that was in a Fantastic Four book. That was something that it wasn't Hickman, it was Millar. That was in Millar's story, where basically he gets burnt down to his skeleton, and then and that's when you get the reveal that it's actually the power of Gaia that has him regrow. That so long as Gaia is blessing him, then he can grow, and that if ever Gaia loses faith in him, he will be kept a skeleton.
But I mean, is Gaia in a bad way? Just because, I mean, in this story, I mean, basically humanity's nuked the planet.
Well, that's the plot line in that story as well, is that, humanity destroyed the planet, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, but Gaia was still around in that universe too, because, you know, but it's the twisted Gaia who is mad that humanity was leaving her because she was damaged when they did damage to the biosphere. So anything's possible. I'm just saying. But yeah, Maestro was fun. But yeah, I mean, Maestro Hulk he's not a likable Hulk.
No.
If we're going to be honest with you, he's not a good guy. He's kind of a jerk. And everything about him is just kind of makes you say, oh yeah, you're pretty awful, dude.
Well, I think I've always thought part of it too is I think he's gone mad. I mean, most of the world's been nuked away. I mean, it's.
But you know, the thing about that is but everyone else is maintaining.
Yeah, but I mean, even on a good day, Banner was never the most mentally stable guy to begin with. I
mean, that's a fair cop. I just don't see that as an excuse. You know, it's like, you know, and here's the thing. Bruce Banner has had so much psychological counseling over the years. At this point, he's malingering.
Yeah.
It's not so much that he can't get better, it's that he doesn't want to get better. And, I think it's fair to call that out.
Oh, yeah.
That's just my opinion on it. Falcon Winter Soldier. Coming soon to a Disney Plus account near you. I hope we see the Prodigy in that. Again, I don't know how I feel about Gwenpool, Madam Hydra. It's like Pink Hydra. It's like I kind of get where they're going with it, but it's also kind of feels like a little on the nosy.
Yeah, but is that supposed to be for like real world analogies? Like, oh yeah, I work with Nazis, but they're not bad people. We're going to make the world great again.
Well, her argument is not so much. It's that's the thing. It's a different kind of fascism.
Yeah.
It's a fascism born of Americanism, which arguably can be, which we actually get that whole breakdown with it of the Irish immigrants and all this kind of stuff, and the Jewish German soldier or the Jewish German scientist, yada yada yada. And that it's all these things that make America great, and you can have a hyper patriotism that is based on the mosaic of history.
Mm-hmm.
There's even an argument, which I've made. It's a weird psychological argument that Nazism itself is based on a mosaicked culture of Germanic history that they then retrofitted into an ideal of purity that was ridiculous to try and retrofit it on, because actually it was about, oh yeah, there were Romans and the Greeks and all these different groups of people that have passed through, basically stomping, Attila the Hun and the others all ran through Germany at one point, and their genes are in us, and that's what makes us great. So there's actually a quality of Nazism that has a melting pot quality to it if you really want to re-engineer it properly. So I can definitely see, a melting pot Hydra,
mm-hmm.
Or a mosaic Hydra, if you will, because that actually is something else where someone makes a point about the difference between the mosaic and the melting pot in the Werewolf by Night book. And that is an idea that we're getting here with Falcon and Winter Soldier and the Prodigy. But like I said, with her calling her mom to explain, yes, I'm going to be outed as Madam Hydra and all this kind of stuff. It's a certain banality, and I get maybe it's that banality of evil, but I don't feel like it sells the evil of the banality.
Yeah, but I mean, in most of these modern comics anymore, I don't think we ever get like a purely, well, at least in their head, evil villain. All these people are always now like, oh, I'm evil, but I'm doing it for the best of intentions. And
yeah, I know, and I will say I love this last panel.
Oh yeah,
because it does convey the evil of it, and it is,
mm-hmm.
it is in its own way. It's it's the evil of millennials, is what it is. It is people with no sense of history declaring that they're going to tear it all down and build it better, without understanding that you're not the first person to say that or do that, and it ends poorly.
And again, does this new Supreme Hydra have to be like an attractive woman, just to give it the extra temptation to this kid to be like, oh yeah, hey, follow me. Okay.
Well, I mean, hey, it works.
Yeah.
We can go along that line. It would certainly works. But I think that here's the thing. I never fault superheroes for being attractive.
No.
If you're fighting for a living, it's like being an actor. It's not like she has a day job. She goes to the gym, so she's probably pretty tight. She's young. I can see her story playing out this way. I guess when you get into that problematic qualities is where it's like, oh, but she's it's the pink it's honestly the pink that bothers me the most. But then again, maybe that is part of her branding. Well, the idea of being the softer Hydra.
Or two, is it like underestimate me,
Yeah, exactly,
You want Zima.
It's weird, it's interesting. I like it. I'm interested in this story. It engages me. But, as a middle-aged white male, I don't know if I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like it. I like what they're doing with it. I like Falcon and Winter Soldier as partners.
Oh yeah.
I think they have a really neat chemistry together when they write them well. And so that's a good thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what did you think, Philip?
Oh no, like I said, I liked it. I felt like you did. Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this story. I think this team up is good, which it better be because they got a TV show coming of it. But yeah, I mean, these two, Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, I mean, they all have, the same thing in common, trying to live up to this image of Steve Rogers. Yeah.
Now, here's a weird question. This Prodigy, is this the same Prodigy that we had a few, I think in the last Winter Soldier story, there was the kid who was the super killer that we thought was maybe like supposed to be a super soldier too. Remember that?
I don't believe so.
So it's a completely different teenage super soldier killer.
I believe so, yes.
So that's 4 now for those keeping count. Because there's MVP, there's these 2, and then there was the one that was like his mother died and he's a frail child, and so when we make him, he'll be a Captain America because he's got the psychological profile of Captain America.
It seems like a common theme they keep bringing up with Bucky is just, him trying to redeem these young kids where it's like, don't go down the dark path I did.
I understand that, but I kind of want to see what happens to Robin afterwards.
Yes.
He's like on his 4th Robin now, and it's like, dude.
So's Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne at least keeps track of them.
Yeah.
It's like, he's Nightwing now, and that one got killed by the Joker.
Well, that's the problem though. Bucky never gets like more than 6 issues or something, and then a new writer takes over and tries to reinvent the wheel.
It's D-Man all over again, man. Mm-hmm. No one even asks about him. Only who knows who he is freaking. I think Starling's actually a secret D-Man fan.
Oh.
And that's why he's, I don't want to be with D-Man. He's lame. I don't like him at all. Even though he's like one of the best wrestlers in, unlimited class wrestling history. And,
she's a millennial. Cool. She probably saw something on the internet about D-Man, and she's like, isn't that D-Man supposed to be smelly?
I don't know, man. I think, I'm just saying, I think she's going to wind up working with D-Man before too long. Like I said, it's just a weird reference to throw out there. I know everyone likes to step on D-Man, but, Well,
that's weird. It's like Starling. That's like the first time she met Peter Parker. Before this, she's shown up at least once or twice other times, but she was mostly with Miles Morales.
Yeah. I mean, she's an interesting character. I like the idea of her. You know what? You know what's kind of interesting to me right now? Is I'm wondering if characters like MVP and Cloud9 and Boulder, if they actually are licensed superheroes now.
Oh.
All the people that went through Avengers Academy, are they like, they're in there, they're like, they're like 1 year older, they're like probably like 19, but there are arguably licensed superheroes. They've all been through the training. In fact, they expressly say that Boulder went through the full training, that he is a licensed superhero. He can use his powers whenever he wants.
I mean, they do those they do all those Civil Wars and Civil War 2s, and it's like, eventually everything gets turned around. It's like, oh yeah, don't worry about that Registration Act. Meanwhile, Bill Foster's still dead,
Well, we don't know.
Well, yeah.
We don't know where Franklin put him back,
Oh, true. He could be stuck in the quantum realm.
You know what? The thing is, they actually do have a new Black Goliath.
Oh, did they?
Because what was it? Bill Foster's nephew? It was Bill Foster's nephew.
Oh.
Became the new Black Goliath. Because they couldn't have him be Giant Man because there's another guy being Giant Man right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Hispanic gentleman from San Francisco.
So is he calling himself Black Goliath? Is Ben Grimm going to have to sit him down?
I think he's just calling himself Goliath.
Okay, I was going to say, because Ben Grimm going to have to sit him down too and be like, dude, everyone knows you're black. You can just call yourself Goliath.
Yeah, well, hey, it was the 70s, man. It was either that or retrofit a reason why he's,
Yeah.
Or in the modern age, just, what if we got a black guy to play Black Adam? Problem solved. yeah, you know.
I mean,
I'm looking forward to the Black Adam film.
It's supposed to be like an Egyptian guy, but like in the comics and stuff, he looks like, you know, almost like a buff Leonard Nimoy, you know?
Well, because don't know if you know this, Philip, but back in the 50s.
Back in no day.
Comic books were very white media.
No.
Yeah, so it was having a black character was kind of a triumph, and like there will be people that will like try to argue that whitewash Jones because they have him as a full member of the Young Commandos. They have like images of him shooting guns at Nazis. That like this is actually really progressive for the time. Yes, we know how they draw him. Yes, we know how his dialogue is. But let me tell you, Whitewash Jones was really progressive for the time. Anytime anything is like progressive for the time, it means this is not progressive at all. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, it's not as bad as stuff could be. So, but yeah. So anyway, but there is a new Goliath who is Bill Foster's. I'm trying to remember his name. I want to say it's Ben Foster.
Okay.
But it's Bill Foster's nephew. Because after Giant Man died, he gets and Hank Pym now he's just giving out, have some Pym particles. He wants to have some Pym particles.
Just giving out franchises.
And but he's like, and he's a millennial, so he's very radicalized. Mm-hmm. Radicalized by being in the, generation of Lilith Hellfire. Oh. Lilith's a millennial, isn't she?
I think.
I forget. I don't know. She was born in the 80s, I think. So I think that technically makes you like she's an old millennial.
Yeah.
And, there's younger millennials, but she's like the first millennial, first generation. But she'll come back to us and tell us that we're wrong, but that's okay. Anyway, yeah, that's all my books, Philip.
Yep, that's all I got.
Okay. So, Philip, people listen to this show, they probably missed half the things I said because they're listening on substandard headphones. It is a tragedy in this world that people buy. They go to the dollar store and you buy those headphones for $1 at the dollar store. You plug them into your phone, listen to your podcast, and it's like halfway through, one ear goes out and the other ear goes out, and then you have to mess with it. I'm going to say stop doing that. Stop messing with the freaking wire with your dollar store headphones. Just buy a decent pair of headphones, and if you'd like to do that, go to tweakedaudio.com. Use the coupon code Southgate, which is going to save you money, so it's not even that expensive to do it, and get yourself a decent pair of headphones so you can enjoy these shows. And then take that same coupon code Southgate, go over to hunterkiller.com, and just put that in there, because the coupon works there too. It is a eternal coupon that you get to use over at Hunter Killer to get basically, it's a mind puzzle game if you're a smart person. Maybe you're not smart. So if you're not smart, this isn't for you. But if you're a smart person, you might want to have the Hunter Killer package sent to you so you can help the character of Michelle Gray solve the crime. Put the clues together. It'll be fun if you're a smart person. You dumb people, that's fine. There's other things for dumb people to do. But for smart people, you might want to go to hunterkiller.com and help out Michelle Gray use the coupon code Southgate. Everybody else, smart, dumb, regardless, there's stuff for you in our notes, which is the link to the Amazon website where anything you want in the world is pretty much available, including Pod Life, the book. The book produced by and for the Southgate Media Empire. You get to find out from the Southgate Media Group personalities you know and love why they podcast and how they podcast and what they podcast and what it means to be a podcaster in general and what it means to be a podcaster on a very personal level for these people. Because, there are people who say that their lives were literally saved by becoming podcasters. So it's actually a deep and meaningful book. It's worth the read. Go over there. You can get it for either your Kindle or get it in an actual physical hard copy where Maz and Paz once did. And speaking of Maz and Paz and ways that they communicated, Philip, is there a way that people can communicate with you in either an old-fashioned or a newfangled way?
The easiest ways are to email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or just follow us on social media. You can find links everywhere at all of it. Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
And you know what, Philip? You know how our great grandparents used to communicate? By telephone.
Oh, yes.
And they can contact us at 614-382-2737. That's 614-382... Oh, sorry, 38 Capes. Sorry. That's 614-382-2737 or 614-38 Capes.
Yes.
Leave us a voicemail. We would love to hear your thoughts on the air. If you read a book and you want us to know, oh, man, this is a book you guys got to listen to. If you want to pitch it, if you want to talk about it, whatever it is, if you say, I have this crazy fan theory, leave us a message. We'll probably play it on the air.
Yep.
Because we love you guys. You can also reach out to us at capeslunatic@gmail.com if you'd like to write to us in the old-fashioned email way. And, of course, for myself, if you want to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. Of course, follow us on the Twitter. Well, follow me on the Twitter @CharlieEsser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle. For what, Maz?
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for connecting with us once again this week. Please come back again next week to Super Connect with us again. Good night.
Good night.
I think we covered everything. I think we did the Capes and Lunatics email twice, but that's okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
It's been a show, Phil. It's been a show.
Right.